Welcome to the course Diversity and Inclusion in the Workplace. This course consists of 4 lessons, each containing knowledge checks to help assess what you've learned. At the end of the course, you will need to complete an assessment that has a passing score of 80% to complete and pass the course. Our workforce, and thus our workplace, is changing. From millennials to baby boomers making up large segments of the working population, the continually growing presence of women, to an increasing number of ethnicities, races, religions, and sexual orientations, our workplaces are more diverse than ever before. Society expects and laws require the hiring and inclusion of a more diverse group of people. These changes are both exciting and challenging for employers and employees. Organizations and employees who embrace this diverse and changing workplace find they are more productive, innovative, and creative. At the end of this course, you will be able to explain what diversity means and factors contributing to an increase in workforce diversity. Explain the concept of inclusion and how it fits into a diverse workplace. Understand and appreciate the role, behaviors, and benefits of diversity in the workplace. Explain 4 strategies employees can use to create and support an inclusive workplace, and recognize behaviors that aren't inclusive and what action to take. In this course, we will cover the following lessons: Introduction and Objectives, Diversity and Inclusion, Roadblocks to Diversity and Inclusion, and Strategies to Increase Inclusion at Work. Lesson 2: Diversity and Inclusion. In simple terms, diversity refers to the many ways people are different from one another. But it's more than simply differences, because of course we all have differences. Diversity includes age, race, mental and physical ability, sexual orientation, gender and gender identity, and ethnicity. It goes on to include our work and life experiences, family status, religion, education, personal habits, the language or languages we speak, and our communication style. Finally, it includes things such as our job title, where we work, our pay grade, and our position. Diversity is a complex mix of layers that make each of us who we are. Our differences define us to a degree, but they also bring unique experiences, knowledge, and understanding to those we encounter, including the people we work with. A diverse workplace is vibrant and full of opportunities for the organization and those that work there. Inclusion is working to understand, respect, and accept our differences, and remembering that despite our differences, we are all human beings. Inclusion starts by appreciating and actively involving others' ideas, knowledge, perspectives, approaches, and styles. This leads to a work environment where everyone has the freedom and comfort to think and approach problems in their own ways, are recognized for their contributions, and made to feel like their opinion matters. Sometimes we exclude others, without consciously realizing it. Other times the exclusion is blatant. Regardless of the intent, no one likes to be excluded, and exclusion can have negative consequences for the excluded employee and the workforce overall. Here are some example workplace scenarios. Decide if each one is an example of inclusion or exclusion. The supervisor of the Muslim faith walks into the break room and says hello to 3 coworkers having morning coffee. They ignore her greeting, stop their conversation, and begin whispering and staring. Is this an example of inclusive or exclusive behavior? This is an example of exclusion. In fact, it happens regularly to the supervisor, and her feelings of isolation and lack of acceptance are starting to manifest in depression and trouble sleeping. A group of coworkers are going out for lunch and invite their new colleague to come with them. They want to get to know their new team member better and make them feel welcome. This is an example of inclusion. Inviting new coworkers to lunch or other activities is a great way to make them feel welcome. A transgender member of a project team is often left out of email correspondence related to her duties on the project. And more than once she has found out after the fact she was not invited to project-related meetings. This is exclusion. All members of a project team should be included on all project-related correspondence and events. Everyone has something valuable to contribute.
Non-inclusive behaviors, like the ones we've just covered, are often discriminatory and against most organizations' policies and state and federal laws. If you feel you are a victim of discrimination, or if you think you witness discriminatory practices or behaviors, speak to your supervisor or your human resource representative.
If you are faced with non-inclusive behavior, it can often be cleared up with a direct and honest conversation. Here are 5 do's and don'ts for responding to non-inclusive behavior. 1. Don't answer non-inclusive language and behavior with anger and hostility. 2. Do point out the language or behavior in a calm and polite way. 3. Do focus on the behavior and not the person. Bad behavior doesn't automatically mean the person is bad. 4. Do explain why the behavior or language is wrong or hurtful and provide a correction for the future. And 5. Do report it to your supervisor and human resource department if the behavior doesn't stop or gets worse. Lack of inclusion often leads to time and energy wasted on conflicts and misunderstandings. When employees don't feel a sense of inclusion, it can negatively affect their commitment and productivity. But more importantly, it can affect them mentally and physically. For example, they may start to miss work more often, become depressed, or develop anxiety. Remember, people, including you, work best when they feel valued and empowered. Inclusive cultures are focused on values that empower open-mindedness, promote healthy conflict, value new perspectives, and avoid judgmental attitudes. Ready for your first knowledge check? Lesson 3. Roadblocks to diversity and inclusion. One of the biggest threats to an inclusive culture is stereotyping. A widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of the particular type of person, group, or thing is referred to as a stereotype. Click next to see if you recognize any of these stereotypes in your own thinking, and if so, how do you think you came to develop them? Stereotypes can be negative or positive. Both can be harmful. See if you can figure out if each image is depicting a positive or negative stereotype. Drag each image to the correct column. So-called positive stereotypes include: women are more nurturing than men, Asian Americans are math whizzes, and African Americans are athletic. These examples may seem positive at first glance, but they also seem to validate thinking about others in terms of their sex, race, or ethnicity, and not as individuals. For example, if we believe the stereotype that all women are nurturing, does that mean that men can't or shouldn't be nurturing? Or Asian Americans are so serious and studious that they can't be creative or artistic? Or maybe we are missing out on a generation of African American math whizzes because of all the focus on athletic ability.